There we go.
This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into a Friday edition of the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally, right here in Omaha, owned marketing firm that specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your business online. If you're having problems showing up at the top of Google searches, Pixel Fire Marketing is for you. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com. Today, joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio is Heather Nelson. Heather, thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Jimmy.
I want to talk about your guys' concept because obviously it's very topical this time of year, but also very cool and creative. You're with Ideologix Insights. Can you kind of tell us what you guys do and why you're doing it?
Sure. You know, at the end of the day, we're a data analytics company, and today we know how important data is in driving decisions, bringing people together, and helping our decision makers to see what we really, really want. And I tell people this is the craziest concept I've worked on. And I've been helping entrepreneurs for the past 20 years, either in the academic classroom or as a consultant. And I can promise you, this is one of those cutting edge, crazy new ideas.
Can you tell people what it is you guys are doing and how you're helping empower people?
Absolutely. It really started 2 years ago. I was at home watching the news and I saw a mom. She was down at the legislature and she was testifying in front of a panel of senators asking for a bill to come out of hearing. And she was in tears and she had her child in a wheelchair there, and she was definitely advocating for her child.
Sure.
And I had no idea how to help. I'm thankful that I wasn't a mom in this situation, but you better believe I would absolutely go and advocate for my child.
Sure.
So I jumped online and figured, how can I help this woman? That was the last day to testify. And Jimmy, I sat there and I thought, how do we as normal citizens know
that? Right.
We don't.
Yeah.
It's not as if they put this out publicly. Yes, it is on the website, but that means you have to go and actually watch that.
Sure.
So I thought, well, why can't we reverse this? Why can't they let us know in a better method, a better way? And I would have had to have taken off work the next day to go down and testify.
Sure.
And I thought with today's world of digital technology, there has to be something better.
Do you think that is the biggest problem facing legislation? And for obvious reasons, right? I mean, you still have to go down to a poll. You still have to do it in person. And that's clearly for the safety of American citizens, obviously. We hear about hacking and things like that almost every single day. But do you think that's the biggest hurdle right now, is how we get government and legislation to adapt to technology?
It's interesting that you say that, because last year the executive committee put out a legislative resolution on looking and investing in technology. Sure. Because they realized
in 2024, by the way.
Well, it was technically 2023, and it was interesting that they had awareness that they were behind the times in their investment. And here we are coming out of the box at this exact same time with this, hey, I think you could use new technology investment to be able to reach us. But really, this came back to a vision, a dream. I don't know. I was woke up at 3:11 in the morning.
There you go.
And I had this vision of my phone in my hand, and it said, Heather, how do you want us to vote for you on this bill tomorrow? For or against? And I thought, Jimmy, why can't we build that? Why can't I have that on my phone? So in real time, I'm just, clicking a button and it goes out to my senator.
Is it fair to say that not only does this help the people that are voting, but also it's helping the decision makers as well as the people that are on the ballots, or seeing what the people that are supposed to be representing actually want?
You're exactly correct. I spent, and my team and I, almost a year interviewing over 1,000 either prior seated elected officials, current seated elected officials, influencers, decision makers in this political spectrum. And we started to identify major pain points in how it's hard for them to do their job. Okay, so the legislature just started back Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Or Wednesday. So they show up, they get into their office, and you think about it that they're starting a business up from scratch. So what do they get? They don't get a connection to us as their constituents. They have to build that over a period of time. So with our software, it's already a plugin that brings our constituents right there. So right away, they're already able to reach out to us day one. But this was interesting. I had a state senator that said to me, okay, I might be on the floor until 8 p.m. at night. And I get back to my office.
Probably most days.
Yeah. And, she goes, it's pretty common. We'll have 600 robocalls results where people are saying, contact your senator, use this canned form. And she goes, we'll get 600 emails off of it. And by the time they go through the 600 emails, it takes a half a day. And then to deduce down that half of them were from people from other states.
Yeah.
Some of them are dead people that are, being taken over. And she said, the value of your software to me today is, one, you're verifying the constituents in. So when I get a report from you, it would be in a one-page snapshot. And it'll say, hey, I heard from 10,000 of
X
your
amount of people
constituents.
said this. Yeah.
And this is what they're saying.
And it's people that are looking for the information, not somebody that is going to respond because they're in Montana, right?
That's correct, because we verify you in.
Sure.
So how the system works is it takes 5 minutes. You come in and you open up your personal voter account, just like the day you probably opened your PayPal account.
Right, yeah.
And we don't collect bank information, but we're collecting your personal data. And I promise you, we have put a large amount of investment in privatizing and securing the data.
Because I think that's got to be a lot of it. You mentioned the robocall things. And I think we had a conversation with a gentleman that owns a local mailing, like a small mailing office here in town, and he said that they've seen a large uptick in mailers and door knockers and things like that because people don't know who to trust anymore. Is that part of the problem that you, or not maybe problem, but hurdles that you guys are running into?
It's interesting because the two greatest question areas we get from normal citizens is, how do I trust you? Who are you to give you that data?
Right.
And how are you going to secure and protect my data? And I've said to our team, we need to double down on humanizing us, telling them that a lot of us are, myself and
we're not a computer, we're a
my
group of
academic
people.
friends.
Yeah.
We are human. And in essence, we've built a company that we want.
So
I will not sell your personal identifiable data.
It's really interesting because the base of your company is technology and improving the technological front, but doing it with a human touch. Was that kind of the goal at the beginning?
Again, the goal was that vision I had at 3 a.m.
Sure, yeah.
Honestly,
just making voting and knowledge easier, right?
Exactly. Enabling us as humans to be involved in legislation. For example, if you're watching, you saw yesterday, Senator Lippincott out of Central City did put in the bill to change our state to be now a winner-take-all state.
Sure.
So we would no longer have our electoral college votes separated by congressional district, where we're one of those 2 states in the nation that has that unique capability. And I do want to say we're nonpartisan.
Yeah.
We have to
be, right?
We have to be. We collect the data. We report the data out. I get 1 vote. You get 1 vote.
Can you appreciate how unique? we jinxed ourselves. Can you appreciate how unique that is in a day where it's my word versus yours and my side's right, and it feels like the country on its face is more divided than ever, but we also have more information than ever too.
I think it's interesting because our software has the capability to reach out and have the 1.5 million adults in Nebraska come in. And we have a poll that's going to go out this weekend that's going to ask them, how do you want the state senators to vote on LB3, the winner take all? And you're going to be able to say for or against.
Yeah.
And our laboratory will render that. And here's the thing that gets senators excited. We're going to give them a by district report, and they're going to be able to see all 49.
And they can present it.
And they can present and say, my district is overwhelmingly saying yes or no. And I actually had a state senator sit back, and this state senator said to me, wow, I can't wait for the day for when a state senator on the floor says they want to vote this way, and I can reference your report and say, but that's not how your constituents are they're saying that they want you to represent them. So I think this is going to bring what we call the second house, right? That's you and I.
Right.
The citizens of Nebraska.
The people that should matter, yeah.
We are the second house. And we don't have a voice capability other than to go line up, sit down, and testify. which means I have to take a day
and then,
off of work
and then you have to
or pick it.
and then you have to rely on the person that's representing you to voice that correctly as well.
So here comes our company, and I will be going down when LB3 goes through the hearing.
Sure.
And I will be sitting down and saying who we are, that we are nonpartisan, but I will be reporting into the facts of what the citizens of Nebraska are saying. So now the second house has a totality voice.
We're catching up with Heather Nelson of Ideologix Insights here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I have to ask, like, when we talk about long term for Ideologix, when we talk about big picture idea, is this mainly to help the state of Nebraska, or is this something you could see growing nationally and maybe helping on a every 4-year scale?
Yeah, we absolutely will know that this can scale nationally.
Sure.
I came out of stealth mode right around the election timeframe. So
Okay.
that meant we put our software out there with 100 beta users.
Sure.
Jimmy, today we're in 19 states
That's
already.
incredible.
It is fast going, and it's because people are saying to me, this is interesting. This actually could solve a societal issue.
Sure.
And you're correct that it's for people across the nation.
And the thing I appreciate about this is we don't know each other very well. We just met each other today, but I obviously have a radio show at night, and we stay as far away from politics as we possibly can. I'm still of the belief that, that's something that shouldn't be discussed, and you're asked to vote privately for a reason. That still gives that anonymity where you can still make your voice heard without taking to Twitter, without being on Facebook.
We are not a social media channel.
Yep.
But we yet operate very
I
similarly
agree.
to the way
I think it's
Facebook
brilliant.
or LinkedIn operates. But we don't, you and I will never be able to talk to each other.
Sure.
And if we have differing ideas, I won't know that. I can't beat you up on it
Right.
like on social media. You know how people unfortunately
Do
do
they
that.
do that? I've never seen that. Yeah.
They feel that mask of the virtual world gives
Sure.
them that capability to do so. But there's no negativity on our system. And that even comes to the candidate platform. And the candidate platform, tell me about you.
Right.
And what are your values and your goals, and what do you want to achieve, and why do you want my vote? Don't put yourself against the candidate, and certainly don't pull out negative things. Come forward to me and just ask me for your vote. So when you come in, one of the hardest things that our tech team did one day is figure out what the user experience, the look was going to be for us as people. So imagine we have all this information of decision makers, from our elected people to our candidates to our community. So churches, schools, homeowners associations can use the system as well.
Has there been, and we hate to focus on the negative, but has there been any negative pushback from candidate? Because a lot of people's strategy is to find skeletons in closets, dig up dirt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't seem like a Nebraska thing, though.
Boy, this last election, especially with the federal money that came in, we saw a lot of that take place more at this congressional, senator, and presidential level.
Yeah. At
the local level, we're really fortunate that I think we have that Nebraska culture stops us from going to a certain point.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Right. That's right.
With that being said, from a business standpoint, because that's obviously what we like to talk about on this show, I love the idea, I love the concept. But it feels like there's going to be some lull points, right? Obviously, there isn't an election every month. How do you deal with that? How do you continue to get better while you're preparing for the next season?
That's a great question. So we are what's called a SaaS, business software as a subscription service. Yeah. So the business side of the house, so your elected officials, your cities, whoever wants to use it, they will enter into a subscription. You and I, it's free. It's free to us. I was, and I'll be honest with you. At first, I thought, oh, we'll charge them $1 a month, and I stepped back and I said, we can't.
No,
because we need to take socioeconomic status off the table and make it equal for you and I.
And you don't want to take it away from anybody.
I do not want to take it away from anybody. In fact, we've also gone down to 15 years old, and I would have only had it 18 and above. But I actually had a state senator that said to me, I want to hear from
that next group of voters.
Generation.
Yeah, that's incredibly smart. I wouldn't have thought about that.
I want to hear from the next people that are going to vote for me in 4 years. And we went, wow, let's talk to parents.
Yeah.
So we pulled in a parent focus group, and it was overwhelming.
Yeah, because
Parents saying,
I think about
want
this
my
because
child on it.
the first time I got the chance to vote was Barack Obama's first elected year, and we did a practice in my social studies class about who would you vote for, why would you vote, what positives does Mitt Romney have, what positives does Barack Obama have, why do you feel like those are positive, things like that. And we were 16, 17, 18 years old in that class, and I remember sitting there thinking about, because I felt like at the time I was very informed on what was going on, but I was very surprised with how much my peers were as well at that age. And I think that's incredibly smart, and would not have thought that that's something that a lot of people would have been open to. But if we can educate people before they make their vote, isn't that the right thing to do?
And I love education as a
Sure.
professor. Absolutely. One of the things that I do when I vote, and if you're in my friend group, people know that I do this. I make an Excel spreadsheet. It's crazy.
I'm a spreadsheet person too. I get
I'm a spreadsheet
it.
person, and I make my Excel spreadsheet. People say, "Can you give me your Excel spreadsheet?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not customized to you," but I basically created the candidate portals in that same platform so that you can see what their party is, what their causes are, a little bit of a background, who they are, prior jobs, education. And honestly, I think it helps people to come to their own conclusion as to which one is best for them.
You can obviously only speak about the students that are in front of you, but what is kind of your classroom's response to Ideologix Insights been, and how have they kind of appreciated? Because obviously they're at a very unique time in their lives, as well as college students going through their second election as well.
So we participated in UNO's voter registration day.
Oh, very cool.
Oh my gosh, it was an amazing event that the university held. And I had people coming up to us saying exactly a little bit about you. This is my first time voting. How do I register? How does it work? And although we're not the place to register, thank goodness the League of Women Voter table was right next to us. So we're like, go over here to register.
Yeah.
But when you sit down with your ballot, go to pullthevote.com, and we humanize your ballot for you.
Scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now, by the way.
We humanize your ballot for you. And I should go back to, the screen looks like Netflix, right? And we're all used to working with Netflix or an Amazon Fire Stick or a Roku stick.
Was that the thought process around building the website?
That was the aha moment of how we were going to deliver all of this information.
Because you want to make it user friendly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you have your rows as your categories. You can scroll right to left, and your first row is called.
This is a spreadsheet person designing this.
This is a spreadsheet. The first row is called My Governance, and that is a proprietary row for you based upon your voting. So you can see your current seated elected officials, and if they're activated using their accounts, you can take town hall polls. They have a Twitter-like situation where they can put out short-form announcements, and they have a newsletter blog situation, so they can do longer-form newsletter information. And you're automatically subscribed to your elected officials. The cool thing, the way we set up the algorithm on that particular row, is if you move, you put in your new address, and it'll update for you.
What are some of the biggest hurdles that you guys have right now that you're facing, and how have you guys addressed those so far?
Sure. Well, I can answer it from the two different perspectives.
Sure.
From the user perspective, you and I as people. Again, it comes back to, how are you going to use our data, and how are you going to protect it? And we as a company truly believe we will not sell and use your identifiable data.
Sure.
So when you come into the system, obviously you're going to say, hey, this is Jimmy, and these are my demographic information.
Sure.
But we take,
because you have to be able to categorize it, not
do.
necessarily for sale.
I need to categorize you. But from there, we do what's called bifurcation. We separate each data point out so that there's not any single data point of Jimmy's information is together.
It's user number 154367932. Yeah.
Well, it is that you're given a number, but then everything is separated out. I've even gone as far to take a concept from First National. I come from the banking industry before I went into school. And from a banking software perspective, we don't want or didn't want our tellers to be able to even look and go, oh, how much money does Heather have? And how much does she get paid?
Yeah.
So they will mask that information. And we have the ability as officers to be able to go in and say, I'm going to mask Warren Buffett's account because I don't want people to be able to go in and take a look at it. So that's exactly
somebody
what
might
we
be
did.
intrigued.
and that is what we
Yeah.
did as well. So our team can't even see what anyone is saying individually, where it's all masked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're catching up with Heather Nelson of Ideologix Insights here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Obviously, candidates are starting to be elected for mayor. Can you talk about why populating the Omaha candidates and making sure that everybody has an idea of everybody running is important, even though some people may drop out before the race even technically starts?
Sure. So we right now are working with the candidates for Omaha and Lincoln Mayor and Omaha and Lincoln City Council, because all those are going to be voted on in April and then again in May. So why is it important for us to have the candidates on the system? Again, it goes back to humanizing your ballot, Jimmy. So when you are sitting there to determine which one do you want to vote for, we want to have as many candidates on. Now, if a candidate doesn't want to be on the system, then they're certainly not on. But that, I think, could also trigger a signal to you that ABC
what
candidate didn't
Yeah.
want to humanize the ballot for me and talk to me in this manner.
There's obviously a big event going on coming up. John Ewing is hosting a town hall asking what people want for the next mayor of Omaha. What do you expect? Two-part question. What are you expecting from an attendance standpoint? What do you expect to be the most voiced thing about what people want of the next mayor?
Sure. I'm not sure if it's an official town hall, but he will be speaking tomorrow at Big Mama's down in North Omaha at the Highland. And we have a digital town hall system running for him.
Okay.
And that will be out there for the entire time frame up through April. So if you're not able to go hear him speak in person and you are wanting to still render feedback to him, he is actively saying, I'm listening.
Yeah.
What do you want in your next Omaha mayor? I anticipate that the other three candidates will also come on and probably do something similarly as well. Again, I'm nonpartisan. I'm not here promoting to vote one way or the other.
Does that
Ewing.
become a difficult part of what you guys want to do from a balance standpoint?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure John Ewing's probably asked you for this or asked for some sort of services to not contact Mayor Stothert, to not contact other people?
No. In fact, when you are a candidate, it very well, they know that we are actively looking to have all of the candidates for all the positions on board.
I more mean from an outside looking in standpoint. Okay, this company is supposed to be nonpartisan, but if I go click on their website, we only see this one virtual town hall. And because other people may not know. Okay, well, they haven't done these yet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is that difficult?
It's difficult because we're in the new launch stage and we're creating awareness.
Right.
So I'm having.
And you don't know what you don't know yet, right?
I don't know what I don't know, but I'm also having to knock down the doors. So if you're Stothert or Mike McDonald or Jasmine Harris or on the campaign, please contact us. We want to have you on the system. So everybody is equally able to have the same presence.
What do you, the second part of the question, what are you expecting most people from the city of Omaha to say they're the most requested thing for the next mayor?
So, one, it would be unfair if I started to give any information on John's results that are coming in. But I will say one unilateral concept that we have observed. People want to be informed. Whether it is ask me ahead of time or tell me after, they want to be informed on what's happening. In a day and age where you have information at the tip of your fingers. It is. Yeah. And this system gives our elected officials and our candidates the ability to use it on the front end to help make the decisions or to tell us on the back end what's happening and why, and to help cultivate this more community of you're hearing us, at least you're asking us for our voices. You mentioned a minute ago, and I want to get back to Ideologix for a second. You mentioned a minute ago, you guys have expanded out to 19 states. What are some of the differences, if at all, between one of the other states and Nebraska and how the system / people are responding to it? Sure. So we have ran national polls when we were on the elections in November, and I
Sure.
think that's really where that spread took place.
Okay.
And I imagine a lot of people heard from us from word of mouth. It was probably
Sure.
friends and family.
Why don't you guys have
that
this?
spread.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we have of course, a bigger presence we can already see built up in Iowa, and I think that's because people are again talking or seeing what we have going on here.
Obviously, the inauguration will be coming up for President Trump, and is any part we just talked about people wanting to be informed? Is any part of what you guys want to do in the future or in non-election seasons, the information piece, and maybe almost be a news source for things that are going on in the political scope?
Absolutely. So the president, the vice president, and all U.S. state senators, all congressional representatives, they all have office accounts on the system. We've built them all. So it's a matter of whether or not they would like to activate their subscription and be able to start to be able to talk to their constituents. We found out we've been working with both Ricketts' office and Bacon's office and done software demonstrations for them. And it's interesting to see from their perspective of, oh, this would make communication great.
Right.
Because it's real time and it's one account and we're giving them everything.
And
in
two
one
guys who
account.
self-admittedly have struggled with this aspect.
That's right. And, Bacon came out after just narrowly beating Vargas and said, it was in the Omaha World Herald where he said, I am going to do, more targeted reaching out to my constituents.
Said on the
and
news
people.
too.
He did,
Yeah.
and that he realizes he needs to represent all people, no matter what party is.
Sure.
So I'm really, really glad that they are responding in the way that they are.
I want to ask about you for a second because you're a teacher. You're running this business. You're trying to get into 50 states while doing it. How do you separate all of that and kind of focus on you as well, and when you're not doing work?
Oh, that's interesting. In today's age, work-life balance, as we know, is so
It's
important.
major struggle for a lot of people.
And let me be the first to say, that's an issue for me. I'm work balance.
Sure. Yeah, I hear you.
Not work-life balance, just work balance. So I was really fortunate. 2 years ago, I was at the community college at that time.
Sure.
And
Teaching?
I was teaching.
Yeah.
Yep. I've always been teaching entrepreneurship or small business banker working in the banking area.
Sure.
So I grew up in a household where my father was an entrepreneur, and as I say, no
What
surprise.
did he do?
Well, interestingly enough, political science.
Nice. Okay.
Which is, I tell people, when I left home, I'm a Gretna girl. I really wanted nothing to do with politics because I saw it so intimately from the inside. And I think what really was hard for me to grasp, not being especially from a wealthy family, seeing the amount of money people have to spend to become our elected representative.
It's not cheap. Yeah.
It is not cheap. And, I think that's also why we have a challenge with common people being able to get elected.
And be relatable.
They don't have those funds to do the runway.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that our software system might be that unique piece for people.
What's the end goal?
The end goal.
Is it so... I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Is it so much in its infancy that it's hard to think about that far away?
It is hard. But, Jimmy, I think my heart would sing if we go back to the story with the mom.
Yeah.
Testifying down at the Capitol and having us sitting at home and being able to say, yes, I want people to say yes on this.
Sure.
I'm going to say no. And then all of a sudden, you multiply that singular mother, and you're able to have 20,000 Nebraskans raising their hands saying, get this bill out of the Senate hearing, or no, don't. That all of a sudden, we are on legislation creation. Do you know how expensive those ballot initiatives were that we just had on our ballot?
They weren't cheap. Yeah.
No. In fact, Douglas County Clerk, there was an article where he said he spent $435,000 hiring temporary staff for 10 days just to go through those ballots. Now, how you and I could spend $435,000 much better in the community in different ways.
Like get Dundee streets fixed.
Solving really, really good problems, right?
Yeah, I want to ask because and we're going to try to make this as bipartisan as we possibly can.
Nonpartisan.
Sorry, nonpartisan. But yeah, that was the wrong
They
word.
know what
Nonpartisan.
they know what
When we talk about because there has been obviously a lot of discussion about fake votes, people that are deceased voting, numbers maybe being skewed one way or another. Is part of this also to try to kind of say, no, here is the voice of the people.
That's right.
And you can either echo or make that case.
That's right. Because as we get bigger and better, we can add more verification methods.
Sure.
On. So again, when you come in, we're verifying you into your district, your city, your state, and you're getting assigned your elected officials. So when we are making these reports from the data laboratory, we are representing the constituents, but whatever their data is in is what the data is coming back out.
Heather, I really appreciate your time today. That's Heather Nelson with Ideologix Insights and pollthevote.com. Go over and register. And if you want to make sure that your voice is being heard where it can matter, register for an account today. I appreciate you taking time to do this with us.
Thank you so much. And to everybody out there that's watching, I appreciate you and supporting a tech entrepreneur business out in Nebraska.
I left my phone out on my desk, so I don't have my phone with me. I apologize if anybody left questions or comments. We couldn't get to them today, but Heather will be able to read them on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. And thank you for everybody that watched today. We hit a great number today to all 640 people of you that watched. We appreciate it. We'll see you back on Monday. We got a full slate. We'll see you Monday at 11 here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the